Good evening to the 12th grade students, parents, and high school counselors. Thank you so much for joining me for the Knowledge at KPT Admissions 101 workshop series presentation today. Today, we have a very special institution who's a good friend of ours, the University of Arizona, and we have Miss Apurva Salvi, who's based here out of Mumbai, Maharashtra, India, and she's a regional recruitment director. And she's going to be presenting about the changing scene of higher education in the time of COVID-19 and of course about our esteemed institution, the University of Arizona. As you may have seen in our outreach campaign, we kindly request you to please post all questions in the Q&A box and not in the chat box, so it's easily accessible to Miss Apurva so that she may answer all the questions towards the end of the sessions where all the Q&A will be taking place. Having said that, I'm now going to hand over the stage and the microphone to us. Miss Apurva, we know it's been a long day of work today, so thank you so much for joining us this late in the evening. We truly appreciate your kind time and support and wish you all the best for the presentation session. Thank you.
Thank you, Kunal. Thank you for the lovely introduction. I was really looking forward to this one and interacting with all the students that we have here today. Students, thank you for joining with us today. My name is Apurva. I'm the Regional Recruitment Director. And today I'm here to give you all a glimpse of the changing scene of higher education in times of COVID. And of course, to speak a bit about the University of Arizona and what have we done in terms of our preparedness, to welcome you all back on the campus. I hope you'll find this session very useful with some latest and up-to-date information that I'll be giving out. Today's agenda. So I think a lot of us, have been attending so many webinars that speak about what is exactly happening, how is the transition being, how has the pandemic really affected the universities or higher education in general. And I have also done a lot of that in the last whatever months, like 4, 5, 6 months. So today's agenda, I thought, it'll be really good to, do like a recap of what happened in the last 6 months in higher education, because most of the universities went through tremendous experiences, some good, some bad, and I think every experience was indeed useful. And in return, we've learned a lot, going through all of these. So definitely a recap of what happened in the last 6 months, what worked, what did not. So the challenges that we faced as institutes, the new normal, as everyone calls it, how prepared are we? And I think this is more to assure you that you're going to be in the right hands, so you can definitely trust i- the information that the universities are giving you all. I think it's very important to know how safe it is, what kind of efforts they are putting in to make sure you're safe on campus. The next steps, introduction to University of Arizona, and of course, how prepared are we? And by we, I mean the University of Arizona. So this is like a very brief agenda that I would like to cover today. And like Kunal mentioned, once we finish with this brief presentation, I would love to take some questions from you all, that could help us to make this session more interactive. And I hope I'm able to answer most of your questions. Okay. Now let's look back at what happened in these last 6 months. I think all of us have different experiences. I mean, I have an experience from let's say somebody who's representing a university in India. You will have an experience as a student who's studying in India, and the kind of changes that went about in your life, in your academic life, especially during the pandemic. And I think so our experiences are definitely going to be different. So I am going to put forth my personal ideas about what kind of experiences I had, representing a university. And this is, of course, these are general views that I've gathered over a period of time. So yeah, you might want to say that yes, I agree. You can also say I do not agree, but these are just general views that I want to share. So what happened in the last 6 months? Pandemic hit. So I think Jan Feb were the months where some parts of the world had started dealing with this pandemic, and it was still alien to India. It hit India probably in March, and that's when we kind of started being more cautious. Then again, it probably reached the peak in May, June. We understood the gravity of the situation, so that is what happened. Pandemic hit probably 6 months back, and a lot of things changed. What happened after that? What did universities do? So when the pandemic hit, of course universities were doing their very best to keep their students safe on campus, but once things started getting more serious, and there, of course, the safety of students was into consideration. They started vacating the campuses. Students were giving the flexibility to go home, go back to their home country till the time the borders were open, and be in a safe environment, basically. Not, I know that some students did travel back, some students stayed on there because they did not want any kind of issues, to get back to the campus, etc. So they kind of thought it's safe to be there, so they were still there. So that's what happened after that. What happened after students went to their safe places? Lockdown happened. Of course, by lockdown I mean a lot of countries went into complete shutdown, complete lockdown. Sorry. And there was restriction of a lot of activities. So this was the time when the universities started to think, what next? What can we do to let the students have a very stable academic year, make sure they are on track with their academic cycle. Okay. And of course, also the time when travel restrictions came into place, a lot of borders were closed, and the inter-country movement was kind of restricted, I would say. Sorry, interstate movement was restricted. That's the time when the introduction of online platforms happened, rather online platforms to interact with students. The faculties use them as a tool to give lectures and be on track with the course, right? So there was a huge wave suddenly of all these different platforms that universities were using. With us, we use the Desire to Learn D2L platform, and it is a very customized platform for the University of Arizona. And for our students, that our students and faculty can use. It's very simple. All the material is right there. So I think students really enjoy using that. So that's when introduction of online platforms happened, and I'm sure you all attended a lot of webinars, to sorry, learn about how this transition happened from main campus to online. Improvising online platforms. So maybe in a month's time, everybody were aware of online platforms, but then what was next? The next step was for the universities to improvise on the platforms that they were using or delivering, or their style of delivering, to make it more interesting, to make it interesting for students who are at a distance and who are still in front of their screens. So creating the kind of balance that is needed, and continuously improvising that. I know so many universities who started with one thing and then have added so much to their whole profile. And it's very interesting to see how students are utilizing that. Then began the journey from uncertainty to certainty, which means that, of course, there was a point where everybody, I think the only word that you could hear was uncertain. We don't know what's going to happen. Are the campuses going to open? What about the visa? Should I still be on track with my plans? Should I take a drop here? Should I go next year? Should I, I've already got an offer, should I defer my plans? So many questions, right? So then slowly the journey from uncertainty to certainty began, which means that the university started giving out a lot of updated information for students who got admit, who were in process of getting admission, and they kind of gave them a roadmap, and which was a very flexible roadmap, which said that if things are better, you are going to be on campus. If things are not good, you are obviously going to, let's say, have your online classes. They made a whole setup of how the online classes would be conducted. Campus re-entry plan. So while all of this was happening in the background in the last 6 months, the universities, were extremely keen to get all students on campus, and I'm sure all the universities will agree to this. As much as you all are eager to go on campus, the universities are also absolutely eager to have you all on campus. So therefore, campus re-entry plans, were put up as priority, I would say, where they designed plans as to how can they welcome you all back for fall 2020. Now I'm sure you are thinking, why am I talking about fall 2020? It's already over, and how is this all relevant to us? I wanted to bring special attention to all the efforts that different universities have taken, and of course highlight the efforts that University of Arizona has taken, and how higher education has changed post pandemic or during pandemic, and what kind of improvements have been done. So even if the pandemic probably stays a little longer, you know that you are in safe hands, you know the kind of precautions and safety measures that the universities are taking, and you know what is the new normal, right? um, Back to the campus. So after the re-entry plan was made, you will now hear that a lot of students have actually flown back to the US or UK or wherever they were, they belonged, or they were in India for some time attending online classes. But then they've made sure, a lot of them, to go back to the campus. I know so many of my students have gone back to the US as and when they could. So yeah, so that was their journey back to the campus. So much happened in 6 months. I know it's kind of overwhelming. I'm sure it is for all of us. But I thought a quick recap of what all the universities went through is a good way to kind of set the tone for this webinar today. Okay, now let's see what worked for the universities as a whole. Okay, and this is, this is, of course, my opinion in terms of what worked for us also. So you'll see a little bit of reflection of that in my pointers. uh, uh, Revolution, okay, in higher education, much needed. I think for years there has been no revolution that has really changed the way we are teaching, and I think this was much overdue. I think for probably more than 50, 60, or maybe even 100 years, the method of students interacting with teachers or faculty has been quite same. I mean, there was no need to do online classes before, because you could go to the campus, you were there in front of your professor, you could interact with them, you could take their appointments, talk to them face to face. So there was never the need, of course, except for those people who are busy with work and want to upgrade themselves, they would do. So I think the whole idea of this hybrid or online learning has set in, and it's set in quite well, because this revolution was much needed, where the focus moves from in person to little more, other things. And you can see there is so much use of technology in higher education now, and it has never been before. Right, so it's an absolutely brand new sector for people who want to try new things, who want to introduce technology in a new way to higher education. Smooth transition. As much as we thought that students will be a little reluctant, but I saw that there was an absolute smooth transition from in person to online classes. Of course, as students, I really appreciate your trait of adapting to new things. I think you all are extremely open, you're quick to adapt, and that's what worked for the universities. So I think, by and large, a lot of universities can say that it was a smooth transition. Of course, there were some who might have faced trouble, and that could be only because of the technological glitches, or something like that. But then, all in all, if the universities have taken efforts, their efforts have gotten to the right place. Students are extremely happy now, with the transition. And I think a lot of y'all would agree. I'm sure a lot of y'all are attending your classes online with high schools in India, and y'all never thought y'all would do that. But yes, y'all work quick to adapt. A lot of y'all though miss the in-person interaction, but I'm sure you are also enjoying this part of your academic cycle, which probably students before you have never experienced this, right? So I think it's a great change. Openness to change, I think for this, I'm not just talking in terms of students, but also faculty and the other people who are associated with departments. It's extremely important that people are open to change, because it's very easy to just say, I don't think this can happen. But it's very difficult to say that yes, it is possible. And because there is a lot of work that goes behind making it possible. So I think all universities are putting in a lot of efforts, and the faculty and the support staff are extremely supportive. And they've worked very hard to put together a bunch of things that are going to be useful for you all for this academic year. Probably for some universities, maybe even next academic year, you never know. But yeah, I think the things are all there. Use of already existing technology. So a lot of us, including myself, I would say I'm using platforms and technology that I probably never explored before. Not because I did not know about them, but I just thought that what's the use. Of course, Zoom was always there, and now I'm so amazed to see that uh, a platform like, let's say, Zoom, that was only probably used for strictly, let's say, business purpose or business meetings and other interactions, is now being used by us, by people in the higher education, by y'all, students. So y'all see that a lot of existing technology is already put to use. So there was no need of putting like that extra investment. A lot of universities used what they already had, and they were surprised because they had all of this. And of course, they're adding new things, but this means that they're going to fully utilize what they already have. Okay. Larger reach, I think. The transition from main campus to online has made sure that we reach out to large number of people, I mean students, of course. There were a lot of students who probably couldn't travel, had a lot of restrictions. It could be something else, it could be monetary, etc., and a lot of restrictions. But the online availability of courses and degrees has made it possible for us to reach out to larger audience. So yeah, I think that is again a very important point. Sitting here in Mumbai, I'm able to speak to students pan India, outside India, from Nepal, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, etc. And it's just amazing because I think it's the similar interaction that I would have if I was face to face with them. And yeah, I think larger reach is something that has definitely worked. Affordability, I think the most universities have tried to introduce options that are more affordable to students, right? We totally understand the kind of changes all of us personally and professionally or academically have gone through. And affordability is again a big question when it comes to higher education. And I think a lot of universities have tried to address this by putting up options that are affordable for students. And we're going to talk about some of them if you already do not know, but I'm sure by now some options that are going to work according to your budget. Hybrid alternatives. So yes, universities decided once students were back on campus, that they would do, let's say, 50% classes in person. And how they would do that, I will talk about it in some of the later slides. And of course 50% online, right? So they're trying to create that balance so that it's not like fully online, or because I'm sure a lot of students also do want to be a part of the campus and enjoy whatever they can of in terms of the campus life. what did not work. Okay. This is a very funny picture that I found, and I thought I should just put it up. This reminds me of Flintstones. Yeah. So some cultures work quicker to adapt than some others, is what we notice as universities. I think in some cultures it was quite quick, in terms of adapting to the online or the hybrid. Some cultures I see there is still some resistance. Like the third point is resistance to change. I think any change, it is human nature to resist it first, and then slightly warm up to the idea that okay, I don't think it's still, I mean, it's that bad. Maybe I should try. So I'm sure a lot of us went through these changes, and these are the things that posed as let's say things that did not work or challenges for universities, because some cultures were quicker than others, so there is a little imbalance there. That feeling of wanting more, I'm sure as students, you all wanted to wait and see what more, what's next, how can I get more of what I am investing in terms of time, in terms of money. So I'm sure there was that need always of what more. I know this is online, I know it is, not probably going to be a hurdle in terms of my career, but will it be like a full replacement to a main campus degree? What will be my experience? So a lot of those ifs and buts, that are there in students' mind, and of course resistance to change that I spoke about. We all resist change, and this is something that it's a universal fact, and we cannot change it. So these are the things that did not work, for some universities. Now, what are the challenges that universities faced? I think this is very interesting because I was also going through, some articles with other universities, etc. And a lot of universities have stated that, uh, uh, it was a challenge, to create content which was attractive and interesting for students. Okay. Creative instructors, for example, you or even me, I think when it comes to online content, we are very used to platforms like Facebook or Instagram or whatever, Twitter, and there are a lot of these videos on YouTube, and every content that we see is so glamorized, and because of this whole revolution of bloggers and all of that. But when you have to use the same screen to learn something serious and something that's going to probably have an impact on your future, maybe there are some set of students who say that, yeah, I like this, I like the serious tone of what is happening. And then there are some students who might say that, oh, but I want something creative, I'm just doing this every day. And therefore, teachers, faculty, they started coming up with new I mean, ideas where they could present the same content creatively, right? I'm sure you do not want to be stuck in, let's say, a 2 hour or a 3 hour lecture in front of your screen. That's not how universities wanted to give out knowledge to you. And therefore, I think one of the challenges that universities are tackling still is how can they bring creative instructions or instructors in front of you that could keep you engaged, without setting that tone of monotony with what you're doing, right? Introduce more interactive elements. So a lot of things are introduced. For example, if you go on the website, our website has this virtual tour, campus tour, that you could take. Previously, we had students who would travel to the US for their holiday, or just like a summer break, etc., and go visit the University of Arizona. It's a beautiful campus. So now we are coming up with more interactive elements where you could do a virtual tour or something like that. And so many other universities are also doing the use of AI is huge, right? Making social distancing a reality, another challenge that they have worked on, are working on. How could they maintain the social distancing policy on campus? So a lot of campuses have put up rules that students have followed are following, and you probably will have to follow even until next year if the situation is little, I mean is going through little ups and downs, in terms of the pandemic. But these are the challenges that universities are working on. Of course, how to create the same classroom environment in the digital world is, it's a far more challenging job. But some universities have managed to do that. We'll see in some of the next slides what are they exactly doing, to do this, right, to make this a possibility. Teaching has changed forever. I don't see this as a challenge though, but I've put it up in the challenge slide because uh, the way teaching happened in class, and now how it happens, where there is so much hype. I mean, there are a lot of options we have, maybe in person, maybe online, maybe group online, maybe one-to-one online. So teaching has changed forever, and teachers, faculty have gone through this change. And I think it's very well liked by the students, because now I think some, let's say, a shy kid can ask the question, I would say, in front of, not in front of, virtually in front of so many students, right? If you have to ask me a question, but if in person you were somebody who's very shy, and who probably does not like to be the center of attention, you can still ask me a question and still get your questions answered, right? So this is how teaching has changed, in terms of your interactions with the faculty. I'm sure now, by now, those of you who are attending online classes, share a far more casual relation with your teachers. There is a little bit of fun, there is a lot of seriousness, and you probably are interacting with your teachers and faculty even more than you would have otherwise, when you were in your schools, right? Permanent solutions. So I think universities are struggling and trying to, I mean, it's a challenge. Of course, they're trying to uh, invent solutions, or get solutions to some of these problems, where these solutions can be long lasting, or let's say everlasting, right? They don't want like a quick fix that they cannot go back to, after, let's say, 6 months or after 1 year. They want something that can be used for a very long period of time, because of course there's so much effort that's going into getting all of this together. Okay, my next slide talks about the new normal. Take a moment to look at the picture that is there on my right side. You can see a professor, and he is in an actual classroom. Okay, and he is recording that, his whole experience, that can be, say, screened live to students. Okay, that's what exactly he's doing, right? So the new normal, what is the new normal, and how are universities adapting to the new normal? Like I was stating, for fall 2020, we have a lot of students, who have already reached the campus. International students, I'm talking about. I think in India also, the embassies, and the different consulates have opened up, and students can travel. So student rotation is something that they're considering, or is already considered, where you will attend classes. You're set up in groups, and you will attend, let's say, every alternate day. You are put in smaller groups, that go on the same day to attend class, and then the other group will come on the next day. So if for you it is Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, for somebody else it might be Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, right? So the mix of, I mean, the rotation, this is what is student rotation. And they might follow this alternatively for different months, etc. Multiple breakout rooms for a single class, which means that maybe earlier there was a class of, let's say, 25 students. Okay, I'll say that because University of Arizona, the student to faculty ratio is about 22 to 25. So they are the good part is they can even put you all in small breakout rooms, where the interaction is minimum and the social distancing can be followed, and the instructor can move about in the different classrooms, assessing and monitoring the situation. right? So this is another very good idea. The faculty recording from classrooms, this is what you see in the picture here. So I think, students get that feel of, I'm sitting in a classroom rather than just, the faculty delivering a lecture from home. Okay, maybe this is something that they could more relate to. So yeah, I think this is a very good idea to give you all more refined experience of online education. Stimulators, so a lot of faculties have been very busy in creating stimulators, especially for programs that need some kind of practical experience. But of course, that's not like 100% that you get the same experience, but they are creating kits, laboratory kits, and different kind of kits that students can pick from wherever they are, and recreate the whole lab experience at home, or wherever they're studying from. So these are some of the things that universities are actually doing, and it's really working wonders, for the faculty as well as the students. Humanizing the online offerings, by that I meant, something like this, which is in the picture, because it's more human, I would say, or more normal to see my teacher, in a classroom setup, right? And I'm sure you would agree with me on this. Classroom designs, there has been a lot of thought given in the last 6 months to change the kind of classrooms that have been designed traditionally, right? So for us also, the School of Architecture, the design students who are studying there, have given a lot of inputs in terms of how can, the classrooms be designed keeping the social distancing in place. Demand for certain courses over other courses, I think this is what we've seen. That's the new normal. Of course, there are some courses that have got increased demand because they've come in, let's say, the spotlight. For example, a lot of interest for, courses related to e-commerce or those kind of industries, because this is something that is gaining popularity because of the current situation, and students want to definitely explore this as an option because they know that it is here to stay. Or even, for example, some professions in paramedicine or pharmacy, etc., because we've seen that, how much of importance all of this is, in terms of a strong medical infrastructure. Everything is on the table, which means that the new normal is a situation, or is an experience where we're trying to give everything, we've put our efforts in on the table. There is something for everybody, there is something that suits somebody's need, so there is something for everyone, and therefore there are a lot of options that you can explore. Okay, now this is me giving you all introduction about the University of Arizona. So I think in the previous topic we covered some of the important factors for the topic of today. I want to also introduce you all to the University of Arizona. We were established in 1885 in Tucson, Arizona, and ranked 104th in the Times Higher World Rankings 2020. 68 in the US University 2021. We've been part of every planetary mission with NASA, and very proud to say that we are fourth most awarded public university by NASA for research. The total number of students we have are close to about 45,000, out of which there are a huge number of undergrad students who study every year, like first, second, third, fourth, and some of the programs like architecture, even the fifth year students. 130 different nationalities, is what we represent. So you're not just learning from your faculty. There are a lot of peers that you will get to learn from, whether it's on campus, whether it's online. You get to interact with them, and there is so much that you can learn from them. We have more than 140 undergraduate programs and about 200 plus graduate and PhD courses that we offer. We have 17 colleges in University of Arizona. I'll take you all through some of the colleges in my next slide. 22:1 is the student to faculty ratio. So we want to make sure that you get a lot of customized attention, a lot of personalized attention, and you're not lost in the big world, the university world. So often we have this assumption that, oh, it's a public university, which means that I'll be studying with hundreds of students. That is not true. Okay. we do not exceed beyond, whatever number is given in terms of our class size. Okay, and we're very proud to say that. And now I think even more with the social distancing, you should be very assured that you would get a lot of personalized attention in smaller groups. The campus is a beautiful, beautiful campus in Tucson. It's about more than 375 acres. You can see this picture is something that I particularly like because it gives a good glimpse about the campus life. Now, where is Tucson? As students, you all are of course aware of certain cities more than some others in US, let's say. But where is Tucson? Tucson is in the state of Arizona, and it's between California and New Mexico. We're very close to San Diego, Los Angeles, Las Vegas. Here you can see where Tucson is. So now I think when the next time you hear about Tucson, you're definitely going to relate it to the University of Arizona, I hope. It's a very friendly, laid back city. Okay. And it was nominated in the top 10 cities to live in by the Business Insider. It's also often named as the most affordable city to live in. Okay. The average temperature, winter temperatures are between 18 to 24 degrees Celsius, making it extremely favorable, for students to live there, especially I would say Indian students, because as Indians, we're not very, very accustomed to extreme climatic conditions, and you would rather want to spend your 4 years somewhere where you can lead, a life of normalcy, in terms of temperature, and you don't want this unnecessary stress, that occurs when you're going to your class every day, or so I think temperatures do play a very important role in terms of your overall health, etc., and well-being. Right, it is filled with 350 days of sunshine, so you know that you're not going, to one of the places where it's winter for like 8 months or 12 months, but it's filled with good sunshine days, which is going to make you feel all good and positive. This is a good picture of the student life, in Tucson. So you can see that it's quite chill, it's quite laid back, it's very safe, and it's a students' city to be in. We have more than 600 clubs and organizations. A lot of these clubs have been started, or rather, all of these clubs have been started by some of our very talented and academically, excellent students. So there is a club for everyone there. Apart from academics, if you want to engage yourselves with something, these clubs are for you. You have science, entrepreneurship, and you have the dance club, you have the music club, you have the sports club, everything that you would want to explore. These are some of our rankings again. Top 1% in the world by the Center for World University Rankings. We rank 11th for the online bachelors, 20th for public research, as a public research university. Again, top 20 public research university. You can see we spend more than $687 million annually in terms of the total research expenditure that we do. Okay, some of the popular schools and colleges that we have. I said in my previous slide that there are close to about 17. These are just a few, not in any order of, popularity or importance, but I just wanted to put up a few. We have the Ella College of Management, which does excellent programs in MIS, marketing, finance, etc. College of Optical Sciences, Agriculture and Life Sciences, College of Engineering. Again, we are in some of the top engineering departments list. We have about 15 majors at undergraduate and about 13 in the postgraduate programs that we offer. We have Applied Science and Technology. Again, very popular program that we do is the computer science. We since Okay, I'll give you a fun fact. So since 1989, okay, since that year till 2020, we have been in the top 5 always. Okay, so this is a little fun fact for you. College of Science, College of Architecture, Planning and Landscape Architecture. There is again, College of Fine Arts, College of Law, you name it. And I think there are a lot of different options that would interest you. These are some of our popular majors. We have aerospace engineering, astronomy, architecture, marketing, psychology, just a few to name it. You'll get the whole list. It's a catalog that you will find on our website. Okay, now what are we doing, to, or rather, what have we done, to welcome you back? Okay, this is just a glimpse of the plan that we did for re-entry of our Wildcats. That's what, that's what we call our students, right? Um, Okay, so we always had a very flexible approach to the instructions that we were giving students for the fall. Okay, the university's testing program, was coming, in place, which is the antigen test, which are used to monitor whether the COVID-19 virus is present on the campus or not. Okay, there is a lot of work that is being done by our students and faculty in wastewater testing. Okay, to identify some early trends on campus, if that was important, right? Strictly following public health guidelines, covering your face when you're in a public place, washing your hands, staying, at least 6 feet apart, staying home whenever you feel ill. So I think this was strictly followed by faculty, staff, students, etc. Okay, we also have something called as the COVID Watch Arizona app. Okay, it is basically a notification app. Okay, and it is something that will give you notification on your smartphone, but anonymously. Okay, and you can notify people who got in contact with you. Let's say you were infected, and you saw that some of the people got in contact with you. You can notify them anonymously through this app. So I think that's something that was created on campus. Great. This is in some of the early stages. It's a pilot project. If this works out, it is going to be used state wise. So right now we are almost there, where it is going to be, let's say, introduced and used, statewide. Okay. The expertise of our public health faculty, were used, and they participated, at every planning stage in terms of the re-entry to the university, and they would continue to be a part of the implementation plan. Experts have provided valuable feedback in terms of, or inputs, in terms of what are the metrics and indicators for tracking public health conditions, which was very important. We've taken all our decisions keeping the public health conditions in mind. Okay, what else have we done? So we've created different options for students, which were very exciting. So students could just log into their accounts, and they would see that they were given 4 options. Now what are these 4 options? Okay, of course, there are some classes that could be in person, so traditional classroom instruction, with robust measures in terms of physical distancing and other mitigations, right? Flexi in person, which means a mix of in person and live online instructions. uh, Students rotating between in person and online. Live online, students log in and interact with each other and their instructor via video conferencing technology, which is D2L, which I explained. And iCourses, it is an asynchronous online and remote mode in which the coursework is made available for students to access and complete independently, with instructor support. Okay, this is a very nice screen on all the 4 options, and these were given to all students who were accepted and who were looking to go forward, or whatever the plans were. I think the university really put good thought to this whole process. Sorry, and give gave out options that could suit everyone, and depending on what program you were doing, there was something that was available for everyone, keeping all the safety measures in place. What else did we did? These are some other examples. If the students was tested positive, they had the option of going back home or going into a self isolation dorm. Okay, of course there were adapted meal plans and dining services, which would mean that encouraging social distancing, increased sanitation, wellness checks, etc. There was a lot of new technology that was implemented. New technology in terms of food robots is also being considered. Facilities management has been working to prepare the buildings, the dorms, in such a way where they are more friendly, post pandemic. or during pandemic, whatever the situation you would like to call yourselves in. Installation of sneeze guards, availability of hand sanitizer dispensers, signage reinforcing public health behaviors and protocols, availability of surface disinfectors, availability of cloth masks and other personal protective equipment wherever appropriate. Each building was assigned a project manager, who were working with a building manager to make sure all these things are in place. Now, these can you apply to the University of Arizona? I thought it is relevant for me to talk about it, since I have already introduced you all to the University of Arizona and the different options. I will not go in details though. Okay, you can please feel free to reach out to me, to know about particular, because this webinar is not really about discussing the eligibility. So I did not wanted to focus more on that, but I wanted to focus more on how you are going to be welcomed, whether it's let's say you start this year online, whether you start next year, or whatever your plan is, keeping in mind that maybe the pandemic is here to stay a little longer and we all have to be super careful. I wanted to make sure that you'll know that you are in safe hands, right? So we look at last 3 years of coursework. So if you're currently in a 12th grade, we look at 9th, 10th, and 11th grade marks that will be considered. Okay. um, and of course, once you have completed your diploma, or once you've completed high school, you need to submit that before you go to the university, before you start the program, right? uh, Competency requirements, we look at certain subjects. Again, this is very very subjective to what curriculum you're doing. You could be IB, you could be some other curriculum, state board, etc. And you can talk to me freely about what subjects you've chosen, how can you go about with the application, etc. It's a very very simple application, probably will take you just 15-20 minutes. You need to complete a form with your personal and academic details, pay the application fee. If you have the transcripts, like I said, 9th, 10th, 11th, upload that. You don't have to send any hard copies. And proof of English proficiency if required. Most Indian students can check for a waiver, because you all study in different boards, and you probably have an SAT score that is going to compensate for your English proficiency as well. Okay, so yeah, these are the 4 steps. Applying to honors program have little additional steps. So when you're applying, you will tick yes if you are interested in honors, and you get access to a supplemental application that you have to fill up. It will also include a personal statement, a letter of recommendation, and an activities resume, which is optional when it comes to the other general application, right? There's a small note here: SAT and ACT scores will not be considered for students applying to honors for fall 2021. So highly, highly recommend students, with good GPAs to consider honors program. There are excellent benefits. You can find a lot of these benefits online. If you're particularly interested to know what are the benefits of an honors program, I will send you the link. You can read up about it. Okay, the Global Wildcat Award, which means scholarships for the main campus, and we typically have between 4,000 to $35,000 per annum, and this is for each of your years, right? So this is a chart, that will give you a rough estimate of how much can you get depending on your GPA and when you have an SAT score. For the global campus, okay, I am going to talk about the global campus, or the online part of of your studies, in my next slide, which is what we call as Everywhere Arizona. Okay, so Arizona were one of the pioneers to introduce global campus, where we helped international students stay on track towards their US degree. You can earn credits, for up to 2 years staying in your home country. You can study online and then transfer these credits to the main campus, right? And it's quite an affordable option. It comes for about, let's say, probably just up to $7,000 a year, which is super affordable. So if you all want to know more about the global campus, go online, check it out, and if you have any questions, reach out to me. This is the global campus experience, where you can either choose to, of course, study at home, If not, you can go to some of our partner universities in India. We have Amrita University in the south and OP Jindal in the north. But apart from that, we are also associated with 91 Springboard, which is a co-working space in India. You can go to a 91 Springboard location. There are multiple locations in India, about 26 of them, and use their facilities. Okay, it's all on the university, so you don't have to pay extra to use their facilities like internet, or the printer, or you will have your own desk, or probably a group setup, whatever whatever you prefer, right? So I think it's a good way for you to interact with some other people from different industries, because these places are known for their startup culture, right? So great place to interact, get internships, etc. Some student engagement and career development activities that we carry out are Handshake, which is the university's official job board and campus interviewing system; Virtual Life Lab, which prepares you for job interviews, preparing your resume, cover letter, and there are other events that we do, which are currently done online as well, which are employer info sessions, career fairs, workshops, etc. Like you attend the education fairs now virtually, there are career fairs that happen virtually, and you can absolutely be a part of it, no matter what mode of platform you're using to continue with your course. These are some of our notable alums, great stories behind it. Some of these you probably know, and you can read up more about them. Yes, that's all from my end on changes in higher education in times of COVID. I hope you all, got to know something more from what you already knew, and probably have a good understanding by now that it's absolutely safe. People have, or students are started going back to campus, and you all are not going to be the first ones to face this. The fall 2020 students, some of them are already there, and yeah, I think it was a bit of challenge, but at the end it was quite smooth. And yeah, so these are my details, my email ID and my contact number. You can take a screenshot of this if you wish to speak to me. We can do that. I've been organizing virtual Zoom, I mean Zoom sessions or other virtual sessions one to one with students. You could also email me for important links or some more information that you want to find out, right? Okay, so I'm going to put this information in the chat box too. I'll just stop sharing my screen quickly. Okay, and yeah, I think Kunal is here.
Yes,
Kunal,
I just
would
put
you
it for
like to say?
everyone.
Yeah,
Yes, so please go ahead with the questions if you would be ready. Thank you
sure.
so much.
Okay, so we have a lot of questions here. I'm going to try and answer all these questions. Will all programs be available next year, or only limited programs due to COVID? All programs will be available, Himakshi. Okay, there is no change. There is no change. If you are an undergraduate student, there is no change in terms of programs. Everything is available. Okay. Kabir is asking, will there be maximum students per class in online program, or for next academic year, will the student faculty ratio be the same? Like I mentioned, I think it'll be even better, because we are trying to create smaller groups. Okay. For online program also, we try to, maintain the same ratio. Okay. It's easier for the faculty also, apart from interacting with them, or online, let's say, in a lecture setup. You can also take their appointments for a one-to-one session. Okay, so that is what a lot of the students have been doing and benefiting, because you can get like a virtual session with the professor and do that. So I mean, if you're worried about the kind of experience you have in terms of um, how the class size is going to be, I think it's going to be even better, right? Because smaller groups is the emphasis now. Okay, Sairaj is asking, will classes on campus resume for 2020, or would you believe it would be online? Okay, Sairaj, I think that's a very good question. To give you little brief, classes in person have already begun today. Today was the start day at University of Arizona. International students who could reach, the campus, okay, have started their classes on campus today. Okay, students who are doing it online have started their classes online today. Okay, so as far as resuming the classes on campus is concerned, it's already happened this year. So if you are worried about 2021, do not be. All these options, are of course here to stay. Like I said, this is a revolution that has come about in the industry of higher education. All the options are here to stay. Okay, irrespective of what the situation is next year, whether it's a good bad situation, the online options are here to stay. Okay, so it really depends on you which option you choose. Okay, and what you think is more valuable for you. Okay, the online classes have already started this year for a lot of the courses. Okay, and especially where the students could reach there. Okay, not for students who could not reach, of course, for them it was always the online option that was given to them, and they will probably try to reach in spring. Okay, but for international students, we always had the plan. I'm sure some other universities also, they were very keen to welcome students, international students on campus if they're able to come there. That's all. But there is no like a hard and fast rule, or there is no force, or any kind of mandate. Okay. Gautam is asking, how will teachers offer us extra learning time if we don't understand something during our class time in a virtual setting? Very good question. Like I mentioned, you can do, you can take appointment of your professors, after you had done with the class to understand something. Apart from that, there are a lot of other tools that are available, Gautam. If you go on the University of Arizona website, you will see that there are a lot of current students that are helping out fresh students or freshmen understand. There are a lot of these mentors and tutors which are available online. Okay, so all of these resources are there. So even if you do not understand a particular thing, you can check with the faculty, you can check with current students who've already learned it. You can also approach a mentor, who's probably a year ahead of you and has already done that part. He can also explain you very well. So it's all about, trying super creative ways of understanding a concept better, right? And I'm sure, it's it's quite doable, if you think of it, and students have been doing that. Pyravi, what would be the teaching and research assistantship opportunities on campus for undergraduate students that relate to our major of studies? Yes, there are. We are known as a research university, Pyravi. Uh, and therefore, if you are somebody who's interested in research assistantships, or opportunities to do some kind of roles on campus, they are absolutely available. Okay, for undergraduate students, of course, they're limited because a lot of the teaching assistant positions are taken up by the master students, but then there are other roles that you can take up as well. Okay, so once you are on campus, they put up, the positions, the ads. You can go interview for them, and that's how you move forward. But they are available. Yeah. Also, the other reason why they're limited in number, Bhairavi, is because the undergraduate programs have much higher scholarship as compared to the graduate programs. Okay. For example, the graduate programs will not have such higher scholarship that you all will get. Okay, the range for you all is between $4,000 to $35,000 per year, which is great. For master's program, it is up to 10,000 maybe, or 12,000. Not beyond that. So they are the ones, who are given the assistantship jobs. That could give them stipend, or give them some kind of remuneration, or some reduction in tuition fee. But that does not mean undergrad students are not allowed to apply or cannot try for it. There are undergrad students also who sign up for these positions. You mentioned about clubs and activities. Do we have any Indian International Student Association on campus? Yes. I think I had mentioned that in the slide of where we're making changes on campus in terms of food, right? So there is a student association. We got with them, and we adapted to some new meal plans, or the way the meals are being served on campus. So yes, there is, an association, or you can say there is, a student body that represents students. mm, how can you pursue a computer science degree with a psychology major? You can, Himanshi. I think that's the best part about the US education system. It provides you a lot of flexibility, which might not be offered with a lot of other curriculums. Okay, so for example, okay, how can you do that? Let's say you have applied for an undergrad degree, let's say in computer science. Okay, or maybe it's undecided. A lot of times students even apply undecided, where they go on campus, they complete, let's say, the first few credits and then decide. All of that also happens. Okay, but any degree, undergraduate degree that you start studying, the first year has a lot of, also these general electives that you study. Okay, it is only towards the, let's say, third or fourth year that you actually narrow down to the subject where you're learning the core subject. So it's just about taking, credits which can balance out these two courses. So you will study some credits of computer science, and you will also study some credits of psychology, and you can have skills of both. In fact, I highly recommend this to students. You can make the most of your profile, okay, if you are doing something like this, because henceforth, or it's probably already started, it's all about having, skills that go hand in hand with each other. So I'll give you a very small example. I There was a student in engineering, and he did his minors in music, because we have the School of Fine Arts, right, that does music, drama, dance, etc. And he did music. So you might be thinking, why would he do music and engineering? What kind of combination is this? But he was very passionate about music. He entered, a field in engineering, and especially a company that makes musical instruments, that manufactures musical instruments. So he's using his engineering skills as well as his passion for music to develop something really innovative in the music world. Okay, so that was a small example of, the kind of jobs that you can see, and the kind of combinations that you can pick. It could be anything that you're interested in. Okay, how can students study bachelor's degree majors which are part of different schools such as MIS and political science? Rajvi, so for the undergraduate level, it's a lot of things are centrally monitored. Okay, so it is possible. Okay, for the masters, it is very department specific. For undergrad, if you're asking, yeah, you're asking for the bachelor's degree, it is possible, because there is a common body that looks after the undergraduate applications, and how you can proceed to take up your majors, minors. So it's absolutely possible. Okay, what does asynchronous mean in terms of our classes with professors? Very good question. Asynchronous means you do not have to wake up odd hours, okay, or you do not have to wake up as per the Arizona time to attend a class. Okay, asynchronous means you can simply log into your D2L portal, okay, and attend the class at your own time. Okay, all the material will be there. If you want to attend a live class, let's say, this the schedule for the week will be put up there, so you can plan in advance which live class would you like to attend, which one can do you want to see, like a recorded version. So that is what is called as asynchronous. Okay, if a student is found COVID positive, such as my roommate or classmate, what measures will the university take? Deep, I think I kind of covered, on that. Firstly, all students, are going to be tested, and if something like this happens, you're going to get medical assistance. You and your roommate will be sent, to isolation or to quarantine yourself. We have special isolation dorms that we've created for students, if at all, this kind of situation occurs. But of course, like, the kind of measures universities are taken, it's quite rare that something like this happens. So, I mean, we are taking every possible measure to keep the you facing the virus to the minimum. So all these measures are taken into consideration, whether it's social distancing or early detection, all of that. If my question would be eligible, could you please discuss the difference between UOA versus ASU? Okay, these are two different universities. Okay, that's what I can tell you. I don't know what you mean in terms of difference. I think both are public universities. Arizona State University is different from University of Arizona. Okay, a lot of times, y'all could get confused, but I think this is what it is. These are two different universities. But yeah, I mean that's what I can say about in terms of difference. Yeah. Uh, Kabir is asking for our transcripts. Which standards are we required to submit the transcripts for? Only 10th and 12th? No. So if you are in your 12th grade currently, you will need your 9th, 10th, and 11th grade transcripts. Okay? They will look at a cumulative of your scores that you had in all these, years, and they will calculate your GPA according to that. So you will need for all three. Ketki is asking, what is the difference between global campus and regular main campus? Global campus is online, and the options that we saw, okay, that is what is global campus, where you can be at home, study for up to 2 years. Main campus is where you travel to the main campus in Tucson. That's the difference. Global campus means wherever you are in the world, you can study. As an undergraduate student, can you share the estimated cost of attendance per year, including all costs such as tuition, housing, and meals? Sure, sure. Actually, yeah, I did not, cover that. So the tuition cost currently is about $37,000. Okay, with living and all of that, I think the estimated comes to a little above 50,000. So we give an estimate of about $14,000 for living, and as far as the health insurance etc is concerned, it's about 2000 something. So yeah, all in all, about 50 plus per year is the estimate in terms of tuition, housing, and meals. uh, could you discuss the success of your career development and placement of undergraduate students? Yes, why not? I think as a public university done such tremendous work. A lot of our students are placed in some very highly reputed institutes. I think I forgot to just put up that slide. I should have, but I of course wanted to focus on some other topic today. But I would love to share some more information. Sairaj, we have a lot of information about the average salaries, or the top employers, the percentage of students getting recruited, etc. Department wise also, Sairaj. So if you can write to me about which course you're interested in, I would love to share some details which are related to your particular program, rather than just talking generally about but I think one of my slides mentioned we have about 89% of our students who have the right skills and who get employed after their graduation. uh, what are your application deadlines for admission and scholarship process? The scholarship and application process is the same. You do not have to make a separate application. Make sure you apply on the website. Okay, reach out to me before you're applying. Okay, the first round is already open. You can apply without your SAT scores or without any other additional scores. You can simply make an online application and apply. You get an offer letter which is conditional or unconditional depending on whether you've met the requirement or not. And when you give the rest of your profile, that is, let's say if you have an SAT score, then you will be considered for scholarship or higher scholarship. Okay, so that's what happens. I think I missed one question. Can you discuss this one I did? Are there internships as part of the programs for all students? I'm a business major during a 4 year of studies. Okay, it is not like a part of the program. Okay, you can do it. It's an option. Okay, but it is not mandatory. Okay, so it's not like a part of the program, but we have something called as we encourage students to do a lot of projects and interact with a lot of organizations to do projects, research projects, etc. That is something that you should definitely consider, Kabir. Right, and of course if you think you still have the time, apart from maintaining your GPA, if you still have the time to do internships, yeah, sure, why not? But we cannot make this mandatory, because not every student, can manage their time well. Of course, it's a lot of hard work to maintain your scores during the 4 years. uh, Scholarship application deadlines, I covered that. What is the minimum grading needed to gain and admit on scholarship? Minimum grading, by that I think you meant minimum grades, right? So when we look at your transcripts, we look at your grading scale. We convert it on the scale of 4, which is the US way of grading. But for whatever curriculum you're studying, you have the table on the website. You can check that. If you're not sure, just let me know, and I can kind of convert it for you. But apart from that, I think the minimum is 3. Okay, a lot of our programs need 3 and above, so you could need 3.5, etc. For honors, again, it's much higher, right? It's 3.5 and higher if you're wanting to apply for honors. And yes, I mean, for scholarship, you can gain like a minimum scholarship based on a holistic profile. Maybe you don't have such great scores, but you've done well in SAT. Maybe you've not done well in SAT, you have a good GPA. Maybe your overall profile is good, I mean, in terms of your letters of recommendation, or just the kind of activities you've done, research work, if you've done any, some projects that you've done. So I think all this matters. And if I look at all of that, there are chances you would get good scholarship. Okay, but an SAT score is a good SAT score is a sure ticket for scholarship, is a little tip that I'll give you. Okay, for higher scholarship. Okay, but SATs are not mandatory. Okay, those were really good questions. Thank you so very much.
Thank you so much. Can you see me? Hi.
I can see you, Kunal. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. Apurva, thank you so much for answering all of these questions and for taking your time. I know there were a lot of questions, so thank you
No,
so
this was great. I think I mean, it's very rare to get a very interactive audience like this, and I thoroughly enjoyed myself. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Apurva. I really appreciate your kind time and support. Of course, as I mentioned, it's a long day. It's Monday. It's evening, 7 p.m. towards the end of your day. So really appreciate you taking your kind time and support for hosting this admissions workshop with the 12th graders and of course their parents as well and their counselors. School counselors, I just have a very important message. Firstly, thank you so much for allowing your students to attend this workshop and for participating and also for having parents join in. I have an important point to share. This session, as you know, during our discussions is recorded. And as you can see, it's a recorded session. So I'm sure there were some students who were not able to attend due to the evening schedule. So please, can you share this session with all your other students as well, so that interested students can get in touch directly with Ms. Apurva Salvi to have not only their questions answered, but also to learn more about our institution and any questions about the session topic as well. So really appreciate your time out there. And of course, last but not the very least, thank you so much, students, for being so energetic and for being so well engaged and participating. Of course, as for you as well, we know it's the end of a long school day. So thank you so much for joining in. Really appreciate parents as well for asking all of these wonderful questions. Having said that, I think it's a cap for today's session. Thank you so much once again, Ms. Apurva Salvi.
Thank you,
Truly
Kunal.
appreciate your kind time and support. We wish you a wonderful evening. Please take care and stay safe and look forward to keeping in touch with you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, guys. Bye,
Thank you
students.
so much.
Thank you.
Take care. Have a nice evening. Goodbye, students. Take care. Parents, counselors, good evening. Take care. Stay safe and connect with you very soon for the next session. Thank you again. Goodbye.